Serious, what mysteries from the early days of the internet are still unsolved to this day? I somehow stumbled onto a very disturbing website called something like howtobea-serial-killer.com. That's not exactly the right URL, but it's close. I probably found it through styleproject.com. It was full of information that seemed like it might actually really help someone to get away with killing strangers, for instance, using a heavy-duty zip tie to suffocate them so your hands would be free to hold them down, or rolling dice to decide what kind of person to kill next so there wouldn't be an obvious pattern. I tried to show a friend what I had found a couple weeks later and the site had been removed with a simple message remaining, "How to be a serial killer has been removed. If you're really interested in killing someone, why don't you start with yourself? I'd like to know what the hell inspired someone to create such a site and why did they decide to remove it?" Yeah, I too remember sites that are similar to the one you found. What about the guy that tried to test his new gas mask and made chlorine gas, and it was absorbed into his skin, and he stopped posting updates? Yeah, that I've seen the screen caps of that. It was on the /k/4chan board. His last post had a picture of his skin already badly affected by the gas, and then he never posted again. Reasonable explanation is that it was fake and the arm thing was makeup, since the amount of gas needed to peel his skin would have the whole building evacuated, and Noon found news on this. I believe there were news of a few people being gassed in an apartment complex later, though I cannot say if they were genuine. Another possibility is that he lived somewhere alone in the countryside or in his own house in a village, so there's definitely a chance it is real. I too, however, look at it a bit skeptical. One should always online, especially on 4chan, accept it to be more than likely fake. A person interested in the type of makeup used to portray wounds in film. Death of Philip Taylor Kramer, the bass guitarist for Iron Butterfly who became a computer engineer. He was said to have been working on data compression techniques and may have been assassinated, but his death was ruled as suicide. The whole story, and family, are weird. It made the rounds as a favorite early internet conspiracy and then, just disappeared. Is this the guy who made some video compression software that had impossible quality retention? The dude was seriously personally affected by a business bankruptcy, just claimed he made two literally impossible things, including a faster than light transmission device, and then he died. People on the internet went mentally unwell. Man who claimed to make impossible things died? Must mean he was killed because he actually did make those things. This is the only logical conclusion. Yup. From what I remember of the old sites debating conspiracy theories, Russian Mafia, American Casino Mafia, or some early hacker group were the even bets as the thieves/murderers. Not necessarily from the early internet, but the 4chan serial killer was never caught. For those of you unaware, the 4chan serial killer was a guy on 4chan who was posting pictures of dead bodies and claiming he killed them. Lots of people speculated that these were actually crime scene photos, but authorities confirmed that because there were no markers, the photos had to be taken by the murderer. One of the victims was actually recognized by internet detectives, and because of this the 4chan serial killer said he would be back to finish his game, but he hasn't been seen since. It's popular belief that he was scared off from all the attention that the case was starting to get, plus the FBI was starting to get involved. Back in 1993, there was a page that had the full process for creating ecstasy. Must have been written by a scientist, because it was highly detailed. The identity of the main creator of Bitcoin, many speculations but still no solid proof of who they are exactly, just that their Bitcoin wallet remains untouched, and there's speculation for that too, like they're waiting to dump it when the time's right, or as simply lost the code to the wallet. Still interesting altogether. Wouldn't be surprised if Satoshi Nakamoto were several people. Several people communicating to each other and solving math problems to ensure they are all Satoshi Nakamoto. How early internet it is. But the woman who thought the government or someone was listening to her and spying on her in South Korea, I think, that they were trying to control her, I think too, and webcams were installed and you could watch her sleeping or on her computer. And her door would be barricaded most the time and there were handwritten signs all over the place. I lost the bookmark to the link for the webcams years ago. But I still think and wonder if she is okay and if the cams are still running. There was that guy in the middle 90s who designed his girlfriend using software. He ended up with something like a mugshot, then posted it, hoping to find her in real life. He swore he was in love with her, this image he had created. He became an immediate laughingstock. I can't locate any links, but I remember one person referring to the girl as Chiclet Teeth. Anyway, I wonder if the guy ever found her. Are you referring to Adam Pacity's dream girl from 2008? He later did another ad campaign/publicity stunt where he hired a billboard to ask people to hire him. Daily Mail article on that one. He went on to become a successful wrestling coverage YouTuber with WhatCulture.com and then left with several other contributors to form Cultaholic. While with What Culture he was founder and on-air general manager of their own wrestling promotion WCPW, now known as Defiant Wrestling. Edited to ad, Pacity was a filmmaker, creating the documentaries Pinfall, 2011, Everything's Bigger, Adam Pacity's Accidental Guide to Texas, 2012, and Anonymous Million Mask March, The Nasty Side, 2013. Designed his girlfriend using software. I did not expect that. I thought you were joking and went on to look for the actual picture. Is this from the real story? I want to know more about this one. Wouldn't say early internet but interesting nonetheless. There was a multitude of killers who have posted on 4chan1 who asked the question, what does /b/keep in the freezer? They then proceeded to post pictures of body parts with timestamps to prove it authentication. Another one was, again 4chan, a guessing name of a missing person and provided a freebie which when guessed correctly lead to the coordinates of where the body was buried. Are you shitting me or is that true? Yeah, the coordinates one was originally posted as a thread with a pic of the missing girl and the message, if this thread gets trips, I'll tell you where to find her, with trips meaning a triplicate number in the post number, e.g. 222 or 777, etc., which was not something you could see ahead of time. Someone made a reply in the thread with trips, and the op replied with GPS coordinates. 2 days later someone posted a news article from the nearby city with an update about the girl's body being found. Christ. I was on there when it happened. We all thought the guy was full of shit until the news broke. Confirming third here. I was there too. I remember the guy who lived in Washington, I think, who strangled his fuck buddy and posted pictures of her naked corpse. He said he was leaving her for her son to find and to go commit suicide by cop. The news article the following day indicated he failed to get the cops to kill him. Edit, somebody posted the link to the article further down. Not only did I live like 2 blocks away from that house when this happened, I was also part of that thread at the time. It was pretty fucking wild because at the time the dude was posting, I had literally zero indication that I could have walked to the house it was happening at. I'll never forget this one. I'm not shitting you. It's very true. It's happened several times because of 4chan's very anonymous way of posting, where anyone can post anonymously without being tracked, have provided some killers with a platform to brag about their crimes. I suppose that makes sense. Do they still post or have they got arrested or what? They've done shit like that before. More local to me specifically, I remember finding a thread about that poor girl in Port Orchard. I didn't believe op at first, but cops picked it up real quick. I remember sitting in bed with my boyfriend at the time just spamming to refresh the thread and listening to the police scanner. Not unsolved or anything, but goes to show people are fucking wild. Article about the story here if you hadn't heard it originally. Those threads were wild. I believe on the second victim nobody guessed correctly and he said he was disappointed, then never posted again. I was on /b/ when this was going on. Back in the first few years when mods are asleep was a thing. Saw a lot of body parts in fridges and freezers. The worst was an army doctor who shoved feet and arms into asses of corpses. Saw a few posts from each person, then they went dark typically. Those people weren't stupid, but boy were they crazy as hell. The dude that strangled that lady when she got out of the shower. She fought so hard. I gotta go, her kid will be home from school soon. That was a pretty bad era of /b/. Not sure if it's real or not, but I remember watching a video of a man exploring the catacombs and out of nowhere he just drops the camera and begins to run. That's real. People get lost and die in them. Edit, found it? That's fucking terrifying. What could he be running from? I know for sure I would rather be downing Chex Mix and throwing socks at my door rather than be stuck in there. Homeless man? Drug addict? Walked in on a drug deal or some organized crime? Or saw a mural/statue/ornamentation that spooked him in the right light? The Paris catacombs are huge and idiots go missing in there all the time. The authorities have detailed maps so they can navigate it safely, but the general public should really just stick to where the tours take them, considering how old it all is and the structures may not be that stable. For a time there were illegal bars, clubs, and restaurants inside it. It was really cool to go there and seemed to be another world, cut from Paris itself. Then, there were cleanses by authorities and all of this died. The fact the footage has been uploaded says this was either a joke or he got spooked by nothing and went back to get his camera and decided to make good out of an unintentionally creepy video. Thank you. Sometimes people do miss this entirely and seem to really want to believe to the point of failing to grasp some very obvious things like this. I remember a video about a ghost in a car crash that was found. They added special effects of the tape ripping or being destroyed at the end of the video like static. And everyone was posting this video, many actually believing it, despite the fact that it ended like a scene from a movie. My rule of thumb is that 9 times out of 10 it's fake. So seeing a new creepy video or image and knowing nothing else, I'll start off thinking how and why someone would fake it. Turns out it was most likely fake. Some French exploration YouTubers who often explore the Paris catacombs investigated the video and ended up finding where exactly the camera was supposed to have been dropped. They realized that it really wasn't that deep within the catacombs, and it shouldn't be even that hard to get out from where he was. That 4chan thread about the guy who injected the blue liquid in a syringe into himself. I can't find the thread, but I do remember seeing it in a top 15 video arc. It might have gotten solved since then, but I remember that one. I think it was glow stick fluid. It hasn't been solved, but it's somewhat accepted that he died of a heart attack and or poisoning from the liquid. I remember reading somewhere that it was fake and that he just drew the veins with a pen. Is the Heavensgate website still up and running? Yes it is, but the real question is who is paying for it to stay up? The ones who stayed behind. I think a few of the cult members stayed behind so they could keep the site up and whatever else of the cult running. It may have just been one person even. Yeah, if you could skip going to heaven and be the website admin, that would be great. Probably just their IT guy who's glad all the tickets stopped coming in. Best job ever. Sysop for no users. I'm pretty sure it's just one guy running it. He left the cult before they did the suicides and then rejoined it, I guess. I'm pretty sure he's the only person alive who still believes it. Sad stuff. So, is he waiting for a second pass? The comet will be back in the year 4385, meantime I hope he has a lot of canned soup laid in. Man, cults be pulling all types of mental gymnastics. I suppose he thinks he's a prophet or something. Yes. Weird, wacky shit. Can someone explain what Heavensgate is and what does it do? A UFO cult that eventually became a suicide cult. Members were obsessed with Star Trek and general sci-fi/fantasy weirdness, and made frequent use of the internet to make money and spread their theology. They believed, among other things, that malevolent aliens called Luciferians had infiltrated all major religions to keep humans from developing as a species, that God is actually a very advanced alien, and that their leaders' bodies were regularly taken over by alien walk-ins. They wound up killing themselves when Comet Hale-Bopp came around, believing that their consciousnesses would be transported to an invisible starship in the comet's tail after their bodies' physical deaths, and, unlike the Jonestown massacre, the deaths seemed to be voluntary as they could be in a cult, anyway. They relied on the internet a lot when they were around, and made most of their money by offering website design and cybersecurity services. Their original website is still up today, in all of its 90s HTML glory, and if you email the person running it, he'll probably respond to you. It's incredibly unnerving to read. Yeah, I emailed him back in 2015, asking if anyone still checked it, with a couple of questions. He responded within 10 minutes. It was pretty eerie. In the early days of the internet there was a site which purported to show a massive submarine base being built in the middle of the Amazon. It was documented through a series of photos developed from a camera that had been found in the jungle. The theory was that the camera had been thrown from an airplane that had flown over the base just prior to being shot down. This is not a drug submarine base, but rather something else entirely. It was in the middle of the Brazilian Amazon, far from any body of water, and the submarine itself was giant. The conjecture was that the elite of the world knew something about coming cataclysmic floods that would envelope the planet and so had built themselves an escape submarine, an ark, out there in the sticks. I saw this site in the very, very early days of the web. It was one of the few sites to visit with the new web browsers of the time. But try as I might, I simply cannot find any trace of this site anymore. It has vanished and even the Internet Archive has no reference to it. Was pretty interesting, that's for sure. The sub looked huge and the pictures of it quite legitimate. I remember this. I know what you're talking about and remember being puzzled by it too. It was an early marketing campaign for a book that I think was titled The Shift of the Ages. Snopes used to have an article about it but I could not find it. Just how many sex offenders did I talk to as a 13/F/NC in all those AOL chat rooms? Or was I really just talking to other idiot teenagers? That and what happened to Rotten.com. Rotten.com totally scarred me. My friends and I would look at it when we were like 12 and I can still remember the images. I'm 31 now. I remember the first image I saw on that site was a guy's face completely mangled by a motorcycle accident. That left a hell of an impression on kid me. For me it was a guy decapitated by a helicopter. Ick. So many. As a boy, pedo dudes in AOL chats were way open about it all, very few pretending to be another kid. I specifically remember a guy messaging me out of the blue on AOL around 99 wanting to discuss masturbation with me. I was 14/15 and he didn't pretend to be a kid, probably said he was something like in his 30s/40s. So, I reach out to a guy I knew from church for advice. Thankfully he suggests I stop communicating with this stranger and I never hear from the guy again. Fast forward to last summer and I'm chatting with my mom and I ask, hey, whatever happened to church guy? Mom, oh, he went to prison for molesting his grandkids a few years back. Who is Satoshi Nakamoto, inventor of Bitcoin? He disappeared shortly after its release and has never been heard of again. He still has $10 billion worth that are just sitting there untouched. Ah yes, the mysterious creator of Bitcoin. Several people have been linked but not proven. The closest link was a Sydney man who made the claim, which led to the ATO, Australia's version of the IRS, to raid his residence a few days later. I doubt that led to anything, but all we know thus far is that Nakamoto is believed to have gone off the grid in billions if not more in Bitcoin. Lake City Quiet Pills. Old Reddit user who used to post here in the really old days, before subreddits even I think, died. Their friend took over their Reddit account for a bit and let Reddit know. Eventually people noticed the user was linked to some site, I think it was porn or something, which in turn contained message logs. These message logs were all pretty cryptic. The logs eventually mentioned holding a service for the dude who died but gave weird requirements like not giving your real name to hotel staff, not being tailed, only American currency and to remain low profile. Stuff like that. People are a bit suspect of this, and during the same night this party is meant to be happening some mobster is killed close to the venue of it by hitmen. Website after a while was taken down and all that remains are screenshots of the original logs. Barely Sociable has a idea about the topic on YouTube which will do it far more justice than I have here, but it is certainly the oldest thing I know of. Thanks for watching. If you could like, subscribe and comment best Reddit stories for more Reddit videos.